archaeology. Get out of there, Dan.
Alrighty, well, we're live over here.
All right. Well, welcome to episode 15 of You Call This Archaeology.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast listeners who, I don't know where the hell you came from because there's been a serious delay in getting that up.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. Let me check the audio here. Make sure it sounds all right. Make sure we sound good.
Man.
Turn myself up here.
You probably can't even hear us.
It is pretty quiet, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it is pretty quiet coming out of this side, so you might want to fix that.
Let's see.
I don't know if that's should be the output from the mixer should be okay.
Where is it?
But anyway, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus. I'll just let you know. I was on vacation last week. I was in North Carolina, and the internet just wasn't going to work out for it. So we fixed that. And also, yeah. Also wow, I am totally out of it, and I'll tell you why shortly. But also, yesterday just didn't work out schedule-wise. Richie's got a new job, so we're probably moving this to Saturday anyway. Just because, Richie doesn't want to work a full day and then worry about a podcast in the evening.
True, especially since my schedule will change. I thought it was going to be a different schedule till 5, but apparently I'm going to be 10 to 7.
Oh my.
So not as awesome as I thought.
All right.
By the way, how do we sound out of this?
We sound okay. That's what I was listening to.
Oh, good, already, because I boosted it about 100%.
Yeah, it's very. There's a lot of static, a lot of hiss to it.
Wait, there is?
Yeah, but it's loud enough. So I mean, not a lot.
All right.
But anyway, we're working through this. I'll make a note of the setting real quick. We're in the Reno Collective still, and in fact, the rooms behind it, actually, there's 2 rooms behind me that you can see. They're both isolation booths. The podcast studio, which we've been in before, is across from me, so you can't see it. And the maker studio, we call it, is over that way. But they did an event in here in this big room, in the big studio, and they cleared out all the furniture, and they put it in the studio we were supposed to record in. So,
I kind of like that. We got to have people here.
I know. If we'd have done it at 4, I think they were still here. But we couldn't do it at 4 because... and I need all the coffee today. Let me put on my new APN, hat. You guys start buying some of the swag over at arcpodnet.com/shop, and I'll make more of these and make them available for sale.
Well, I mean, you need to have people modeling them on the website or something.
I know. There's lots of stuff I need to have done.
True.
So anyway, one of the reasons we're a little bit late today is volunteer work. Man, I'm curious to know how many archaeologists do volunteer work, and volunteer work outside your field. Because a lot of archaeologists, not a lot, but the ones that do volunteer, you hear about people volunteering with like public archaeology days and avocational archaeology groups and museums and just volunteering in different places. If you're earlier in your career, you might actually be volunteering to work at some places, volunteering with field schools, stuff like that.
I did that for years.
Yeah, and I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about like normal human beings that are not archaeologists. They have a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday.
Yeah. And
they, on their evenings and or weekends, if people do volunteer work, they're volunteering at homeless shelters and things like that. They're not volunteering in places where they work for a living, right? Oh. Archaeologists, I think, are unique in that we actually have volunteer work in our job, and when we do volunteer work, it's in archaeology.
Well, I mean, it's like, what am I reading right now? Well, actually, I'm reading a cookbook, but, my bookshelves are filled with archaeology books.
Yeah, well, we like what we do, which I think is non-standard, really. My example for that, which is why we're late today, is I spend probably 10 to 15 hours a week on the Civil Air Patrol. But I'm the squadron commander, so it's not usual for that to be like if you're a volunteer with the Civil Air Patrol, you're more likely going to spend maybe 5-6 hours a month, just going to the meetings and maybe showing up to an event, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm the squadron commander, and I have 86 people in my squadron, so we have a lot of stuff to do.
And you don't do it as a volunteer basis, do you?
Yes, I do.
But you do?
I don't get paid for this.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but you're paid in flying time.
No, I'm not even paid in that. because
Really?
I'm not flying with them right now.
Yeah, but you get to use their plane every once in a while, right?
Well, I get to go up and do flights and things like that. I'm not flying as a pilot for CAP yet, though, because I haven't gone through all the paperwork to do that. But the primary reason was I was really close to getting to going down that route before I became squadron commander, and then I pretty much put all that on hold because I felt like I didn't have the time to devote to really paying attention to safety protocols and keeping up my flying skills and stuff as a squadron commander. I would have been dividing that time.
Yeah.
So when I'm done being squadron commander, it's typically a 4-year term if you make it the whole time. When I'm done doing that in 2.5 years, unless we leave from Reno, I know, I'm only 1.5 years into it. When I'm done doing that, then I'll focus more on flying and stuff like that. But in the meantime, I just got a comment.
You did?
It's the volunteer time I put into this is so much. It's so much, and sometimes it's more than others. You know what I mean? I mean, like in a couple of weeks, we might miss another episode. In fact, we're going to miss another episode because on the last weekend of the month, from Wednesday to Sunday, I'll be in Las Vegas for our annual conference for CAP, just for Nevada Wing. So
don't forget to bring your body armor.
Yeah, right. yeah, no joke on that one.
I probably shouldn't be laughing about that.
Well, too soon. Yeah.
Wait, we got a comment?
Did we have a comment? Oh no, we had a join. So
neat.
January Withers Costa is here. Thanks. How's it going? She was just commenting on my. You call this. You know why she's here?
Yeah.
Because I posted in the group. You're an archaeologist when on Facebook. Because on the way here.
Wait, you can't show it? You can't hold it?
It wouldn't look good. I'd have to get way up over there. On the way here, if you're not part of the you're an archaeologist when Facebook group, go there. Anybody who's a member can approve you. So just go there.
Really?
You'll get approved. Yeah, I'm not an admin and I approve people all the time.
Ooh, hold on. Let me do that. While
You're not in that group?
No.
Man.
I'm about to be, though.
Anyway, on the way here, I was behind a car that had one of those big obnoxious window decals and it said, kitty sitting. I'm pretty sure it was kittysitting.com. And I was like, what the... And it was cat sitting, exclusively cat sitting, like no other pets. They don't care about other pets. It's just cats that they sit for. And it said, but the part that got me was licensed, bonded, insured, or licensed, insured, bonded, I think it said. And I was like, are you effing kidding me?
Dude, cats are precious.
Licensed though? Licensed? I mean, seriously, you can't get... there's Richie's request to join the group. You can't get licensed to be an archaeologist, but you have to be a licensed to be a cat sitter. What is the license? What is the license even? Are they a veterinarian? No, probably not. No. Are they what is the license to be a cat sitter? I'm so pissed off by this.
You're a kind and caring person. You're not allergic to cats.
But there's a license for that from the federal government?
That's the best part.
Oh my god. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm so pissed off by that. I'm so pissed.
You should be.
All right, there we go. Live on the show. We just added Richie to a Facebook group. Prove my point. But yeah, license. And but the thing is, we have such high blinders on in this field about some of the things and the way we're treated and the way that our field just is. There was instantly a couple of comments. January is one of them. Keep it going. You'll find something soon. And somebody saying, Somebody said that they have a regulatory thing up in, I think, British Columbia that's very similar to licensing. And I was like, yeah, we have a lot of things that are similar to licensing that people would think. Yeah. Like to be a PI on a project here in the BLM in Nevada, you need to be permitted. That's not a fucking license.
No.
That's not a license at all. And a permit or a registered archaeologist or something like that, those aren't licenses. The license has a very specific term.
Yeah.
In a very specific meaning and a very specific definition.
Yeah.
And we're simply not licensed to be archaeologists.
Yeah, I mean, when I took my concealed carry class, I could not carry a gun until I got my actual physical license. I don't know if you call it license, more like a just like a little card.
Was it a certificate or no. Are you licensed? I mean,
no, it's a card.
It'll say license on it if you're licensed.
Yeah, it's an actual card.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show it, but it's a permit.
Oh, see, that's a permit. So yeah. Again, that has a very specific meaning.
Yeah.
But it's different than a license.
Yeah.
A license is in some fields, you have to go through like apprenticeships and all these other things to become licensed.
Yeah.
And we just simply don't have that in archaeology.
I mean, my mom was a microbiologist. She couldn't just call herself a microbiologist. She obviously had to go through training and, college and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to, it just, I don't know. It just, I'm so irritated by it. I don't even have words. I literally don't
enjoy
even have
that.
words, Richie.
I mean, that's almost as bad as the therapy dogs or whatever, therapy pets, like the therapy ferrets people are bringing on planes and stuff.
Yeah. It's a frustrating world we live in right now. But at least I have my new Archaeology Podcast Network hat right here. So anyway, well, that's my initial rant. I've got plenty more rants for this podcast. What do you got going on in your life? You have started off on a new career path that'll give you some different time constraints, but more money probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to go back for a master's degree eventually, and that was not going to happen where I was working, even though I loved working at the bookstore a lot. But I was like, that was not happening unless I went into $1 bazillion of debt. And I went through my whole undergrad without getting any student loans. I might still have to get student loans for my master's, but hopefully it won't be crazy. Yeah. My intention is just to save as much money as possible next year or so. Yeah. And just kind of coast. Yeah. Well, you were trying to talk me out of getting masters.
Well, I mean, I think you need to have a very clear career path if you want to spend the money and the time to get a graduate degree in archaeology. True. If you can find a way to not pay for it, if you can get some kind of grant for it or scholarship for it, then I say absolutely do it. More education is better than no education.
True.
The thing is the student loans.
Yeah.
Don't get a master's degree, and you or anyone, don't get a master's degree if you're stuck in your current position, if you're frustrated by your current position, if you think that the master's degree is going to change your life for the better. If you think any of those things, then do not get a master's degree.
No.
Because you're going to be saddled with $30,000+ more in debt.
Yeah.
To do that. And it's simply not worth it unless you understand your career path with that master's degree. If you've got somebody saying, hey, if you had a graduate degree, I would hire you for this, and that's the only thing holding you back. And if whether or not that job's available when you get out of your graduate degree, there will be other ones like it. Yeah. So as long as you understand the career path, you understand what's involved, you understand that initially you may only get paid a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only career advancement opportunity was closed recently. I don't know if you remember it, but the government used to offer the student career employment program, and a couple of my buddies, they had their master's degrees paid for that way, and they had a guaranteed job with their respective services, one with the BLM and one with the Forest Service after that was done. Right. But apparently veterans were complaining, so now veterans get some sort of weird preference in
Well, veterans have always had extra points given to them on USA Jobs for federal jobs. You get extra points for being a veteran. Yeah. But I don't know about this thing you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a really big program, way back when. Yeah. When I first started out in archaeology. Plus, I was also already looking forward to writing. I can't believe I'm even saying this because I never thought I'd ever hear these words come out of my mouth. But I'm actually looking forward to writing papers, but more importantly, presenting at conferences. I can't even believe I just said that. That was actually one of my favorite parts about my undergrad was presenting at conferences.
Well, I'll tell you, if you just like presenting at conferences, there's plenty of ways to do that. I've presented on lots of things that required zero research.
I know.
Because I just like getting up and standing up in front and talking to people. Yeah. So I've presented on the podcast network. The nice thing about presenting about podcasting for me is that I've given papers, I've probably presented 5, 6, 7 times at different conferences on the same thing. I'll update for the current time, if I have numbers or something like that. But I'm so fluid at it. I get up there, I almost don't even need my slides. They're up there as a visual aid. There's no text on them, except for when I show listener subscriber numbers and stuff. And I just get up there and talk about podcasting. I mean, I'm doing it. I'm at the AAA's this year in DC. And I'm part of a panel. I'm either part of a panel or I'm writing a paper on podcasting. I don't even know, and I don't care. If I'm writing a paper, I'll probably do it in the plane on the way there.
Ooh, wait, are you also doing the SAAs there?
Yeah, I'm in April.
I want to do that too, because my sister lives out there.
Yeah, well, hopefully, maybe you can get your SAA ticket paid for, because if the APN gets a booth, which I'm hoping, then we get two admission passes. So,
neat.
And I know my wife can't go this year to the SAAs, so
Man, I haven't been to one of those since Sacramento.
Yeah. Well, it's coming back to California too in, God, I think it's not like till 2020 or 21 or something.
That's going to be here sooner than we know it, though.
I know.
Which is scary.
Yeah. So anyway, back to conferences. I mean, I present on the same things, and I don't think, I actually personally don't think that presenting on actual research is useful at all at conferences.
No.
If you're already going to the conference, you're already planning on being there.
Yeah.
And it's not the only reason you're going.
No.
And you happen to have some research in frickin' September when you have to submit it anyway.
Yeah.
If you happen to have something that you can present because you're going anyway, or someone else is paying for you to go, then go ahead and do it. It's not going to hurt you, so you can do it. But literally nobody's going to hear that.
No.
Like the 10 people in the room are already drinking your Kool-Aid because they're in the room.
Yeah.
And no one else is going to hear it unless you record it. Unless you, and I'm thinking about having some kind of sign up on the APN Facebook page on the APN website for SAAs that says, hey, if you want your presentation recorded and put out on the Archaeology Podcast Network, then sign up for a time slot and just tell me when it is. We can't do all of them because there's thousands of papers, well, hundreds anyway. And but we can do some of them. So.
But most people when they go to I'm not sure about students, like younger students who don't have experience. When I go there, I look through the program, like, well, which one of my buddies are presenting? And that's like literally how I choose which panels to go to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about you.
I mean, most of the time, although in the past probably 2 years, I haven't gone to a single paper.
Really?
Like that's not true. I've seen papers in panels where I was presenting.
Yeah.
Because I'd get there early or I'd stay late or something like that. But I've been at a booth the last few years, and to me, the more value I get from the conference is actually in the exhibit hall. Networking and being in the booth and doing different things. Even if I didn't have a booth, even if I go to the SAs next year and I don't have a booth, and I might not be able to afford it. I mean, it's $1,000 for a booth, so. But a lot can change between now and January when I have to buy that booth. Even if I don't have a booth, I'm going to go there and probably not go into a single paper. I'm going to be out in the halls. I'm going to be, come on in, Seth. I'm going to be out in the, we've got a guest coming in here, and we're live on Facebook right now, Seth. I don't know if you knew that, but sit next to me.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. We'll introduce Seth and why he's here in just a second.
Although no one's going to be able to hear him.
And don't stand in front of the video camera.
What is happening?
All the things.
Everything's different.
Everything's different. I know, right? So anyway, I go there these days, and I'm like, there's a delay on the screen. That's why.
Should I sit?
Yeah, you can go ahead and sit.
Yeah.
I go there these days, and I don't.
Yeah.
I just get more value out of meeting people, networking with people, and talking to people that way. Presenting a paper is 100% useless for me, and I think it is for most people.
True.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes. I mean, it's something to add to your little CV.
Yeah, I guess.
Although every once in a while I get inspired.
If you're a student, and especially if you're getting a grant to go, then you probably should present.
Yeah.
If you're a student and the school is paying you to go there, typically they're not even going to pay you to go unless you are presenting.
Yeah.
They're not just going to pay you to go.
But I mean, every once in a while you're inspired. Like when they were in Sacramento, I was super inspired to start this whole YouTube thing. At that was it CRM? Was it blogging? No, technology.
Were you in the blogging archaeology group?
Yeah,
I was in there too.
Yeah.
Did I know you then?
No.
Because that was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And that evening is when I started my blog, Random Acts of Science.
Yeah.
After watching that. And that blog led to my book and led to the podcast.
Yeah, and then I was there and I was inspired. It led me to start recording stuff.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but that was you can learn stuff and get inspired, but those are non-standard sessions. That wasn't a session
those are the best ones though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But most people are going to, medieval basketry sessions, not at the SAs, not medieval, but they're going to, Mississippian mound culture sessions, and it's like, great, that's awesome, but you're already drinking that Kool-Aid. Go learn something else.
True.
So anyway, let's introduce Seth. He's over here hustling on his phone, and
I'm totally dressed to be on video. So we'll be on a podcast, so I won't have to dress up.
That's right. And you have to speak into this microphone if you want anybody to hear you. But Seth, I wanted. Seth is a friend here. I met him at the Reno Collective. He's not an archaeologist, not even close. No. And But one of the things that we talked about, and one of the things I've definitely talked about on my other shows, is getting yourself a side hustle. And
Yeah.
for a lot of archaeologists, especially CRM archaeologists, there's a lot of times when you're just out of work. There's a lot of times when you're between jobs. There's the winter for a lot of people where you're 3-4 months without work, and you got to find something else to do. Well, Seth is in digital marketing, and not only that, but he's one of those smart people that got into digital marketing and said, hey, this looks like a fun job, but then almost immediately said, I can teach people how to do this, and decided to do that instead. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what digital marketing is and how you can do that from anywhere, just real quick.
Well, immediately means more like 4 or 5 years working in the field, but yes. So digital marketing is essentially marketing, which is, promoting stuff that used to be done through billboards and TV ads and newspapers, and now that stuff's becoming obsolete and everything's being promoted on the internet. What's very interesting is the fact that because the colleges are so inept at preparing people for real jobs, they have neglected to train an entire generation of people in a skill set that is highly in demand. So if you go on to LinkedIn or Indeed and just type digital marketing in the United States, you will typically see between 15 and 20,000 job openings.
Really?
I do videos on my YouTube channel where I do specific walkthroughs of various cities, and New York and LA and Chicago can have 2,000 to 3,000 openings on Indeed and LinkedIn, and those aren't even all the jobs. The reason being is that obviously more and more companies are advertising on Google and Facebook, and Google, most people know that it makes a lot of money. Most people don't realize that 90% of, I think it's about 90% of their revenue comes through ads. Those ads on the side of the search results that you never click on. I always talk to people, they say, I never click on those ads. You click on the search results in the middle. That's another part of digital marketing called SEO. But there are companies, millions of companies across the globe that pay money to get clicks because search marketing is one of the most precise ways of targeting consumers, because unlike the old school television, radio advertising where you kind of throw out an ad, hey, buy my shoes.
Yeah.
On Google, you can actually target people who are typing in, I need new shoes. And that's why they've been so successful. So one of the interesting, I could go on and on about digital marketing, but the point is that there are not only many job openings, which, I teach people in my course how to get these jobs, because a lot, I said, I don't want a job. Chris doesn't want a job. Most people don't want a day job, but a lot of people do. And I help people get these day jobs with no previous experience, because the companies are so desperate to find people that I even show people, they say, oh, this posting says 2 to 3 years experience. And I say, yeah, a girl's dating profile might say she wants a 6'5" guy with chiseled abs who's also sensitive, but that doesn't mean she's finding it. These companies are not finding applicants that know anything about digital marketing. So it's very easy to get in on the job side of things, but it's also easy to freelance. Freelancing just means you find your own clients. And those clients can be almost anybody who has a business, from the pizza shop down the street to a brick and mortar business like a shoe store to a medical clinic to an attorney.
Yeah.
Everybody's using Google and Facebook to advertise, and most of them have no idea how to do it. So there's all these agencies have popped up, and they're making millions of dollars, through their, they'll cold call a company and say, hey, you guys, you want more customers through Google, and they'll be, the lawyer doesn't know anything about Google, so they'll hire the agency. A lot of agencies do good work, a lot of them do bad work, a lot of them overcharge. There's a real sort of niche for a person who understands how to do it properly to go in and earn the trust of a business. And I have students who, I have one student who's 20 years old and she's making $40 an hour.
Really?
Freelancing. Yeah, about 50 grand a year. She only works 20 hours a week.
Wow.
So she actually said to me, she said, I don't know what to do with my time. And I said, well, that's awesome. That's a great problem to have. But the cool thing about freelancing in this field is that I've freelanced and worked for myself, and I've been in sales, and it's usually such a hustle. Like if you ever met someone who's like a personal trainer or I don't know has doing an MLM, you have to work so hard, and they're always working. So this is one of those jobs where it's very easy. Like I've never had to push anybody to be a client. It's been like you just start chatting with someone, and someone will be like, oh yeah, I own a grocery store or something, or I own I don't know if they really advertise. I own this business. Say, oh, how do you I do digital marketing. Oh, what's that? And I just start telling them, I help people get more traffic on Google and Facebook.
Yeah.
And people are interested.
Yeah.
You don't have to push it.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of students, and they're usually surprised, like, oh my God, I went into this business and I talked to these people, and they want to, they want my help. Whether it's managing paid advertisement on Google, whether it's managing ads on Facebook, whether it's doing SEO, search engine optimization, which is where you help a business's website get higher in those organic search results. There's so many different paths you can take with these skills, and they're not that difficult to learn. Like I said, there's an opportunity now because like I said, a lot of my students are even marketing majors, and they come to me having spent 4 years in school, no idea how to actually do the work. They're either being taught old school marketing tactics that probably were big in the 80s.
Oh, I thought you were about to say they're in the Madman era or something.
The 60s, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me how much money is spent on these educational programs and how little my course is. And people are getting $40,000 a year jobs, within a few months, and freelance clients. So, if you're Chris has told me a little bit about archaeology. If you have this type of seasonal employment, I think it's definitely a good skill set to have in your back pocket. And plus, when you work, unlike archaeology with digital marketing, you don't have to be in person to do most of the work. You can do it all remotely when you're freelancing.
Yeah.
That's why he was telling you about it.
Yeah, I know.
There we go.
Yeah, so it's not only good for off-season work. It could be a whole new career for you. If you want to get into something else and just do archaeology on the side, almost. Just kind of look for archaeology gigs. Yeah. It's also a real job, I assume, too, where you can't just you hear these people getting $40,000 to $60,000 a year jobs. It's not like you can do that in the evenings while you're being an archaeologist during the day. I mean, it's real work when you're doing it, right? I mean.
Okay, so the majority of the jobs, what I tell people, like the primary sort of gold sweet spot are in-house full-time jobs. That's where you're going to get paid a $60,000 a year salary or $40,000 a year salary. However, there is a whole other tier, like I said, with the freelancing, or there are remote positions. Like I have one student who was 19. He was in college. He got he's making about $20 an hour doing remote work. And his job, I think he had a full-time gig. But there are part-time gigs. But what I encourage most people to do is just freelance. Yeah. Because then it's like a job. It's just you're not limited to those 9 to 5 hours. You can kind of work on your own schedule. Yeah. Then you are an independent contractor at that point. But like I said, there's opportunities like pretty much anywhere you go because everybody needs this service. Unlike archaeology. No offense, but that would be pretty cool though if you could just walk into a store and be like, anyone need some archaeology done? And there's a person in the back who's got, I don't know, something they need excavated or carbon dated or I don't know what exactly.
Carbon dated. Yeah, that's good.
I need to know how old, maybe someone has an old sandwich in the fridge and they're like, this is really old, how?
Right.
It's a bad archaeology joke.
Wait, we got comments?
Yeah, we got a few comments. We'll get to those in a second because they're not on this. They're on some other things.
All right.
But it's all on degrees in education.
Good.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah. But no, I like talking about other things you can do because one of the things we're going to address January's comments here shortly. Yeah. But it's sort of a prelude to that. There's something I constantly bring up in the CRM Archaeology podcast, which is this job that we have as a field archaeologist, as a contract field archaeologist, not an academic, but a professional field archaeologist, is not like other jobs.
Any other job.
It's not like any other job. It's not like any other job that you would expect. I mean, there might be some professions that, I don't know, maybe they're also seasonal and they do different things, but the way that we work and the way that we move around, we bounce from project to project a lot, things like that. I mean, we have to be flexible in the way that we do our work. And when we complain about, and I don't mean complain in a bad way, I mean complain just like as in comment on it, about not getting enough money, about not doing this and that and this. 9 times out of 10, somebody's not making enough money in archaeology because they're not doing it right. You know, they're expecting to find this job that's going to pay them $50,000 a year, and it's going to be solid work, and it's going to be like it. But cultural resources aren't like that.
No.
You know, archaeology is not like that. The fact that you can even, in this day and age, live in one town, and even the people that do that have a house and kids and a wife and a husband and whoever, they live in one town, and they work for the same company for 10 years. How much work do they do that's within a drive of their house? They're just not a lot. You still have to drive. You still have to be gone for the week.
Yeah.
And that's just how our job is. And when you're out here in the West, or you're somewhere where you're not full-time salaried, you're doing the same thing. You're just doing it on your own. You're just doing it for different companies and different jobs.
Oh my God. Well, this bridges us, this kind of like transitions us into what we're talking about. Like, if you want to see what, you know, it's like to move up, just look at your PI. Like, remember the company we worked for? And then, I'm not going to say his name, but the dude who was still driving the same car he had when he was a graduate student.
Well, that's Richie and I were talking about this the other day, and it's good for, I'm interested to see what Seth has to say about this too, because one thing my division chief, who I learned a lot from in the Navy, used to say is, if you get into a job or you get into a profession or anything where you're entry level, if you think you want to keep doing that in 20 years, look at the people who have been doing that for 20 years and see if that's the person you want to be. Yeah. Are they beat down? Are they driving a 42-year-old Subaru? Are they all driving
42-year-old Subaru?
Does that even exist? Are they driving Teslas? Are they all coming in fancy suits, and are they eating sushi for lunch every day? Right. You know, or is the person that's been there for 30 years
just like you, except older?
Just like you, except older and more beat down. Then you got to think, is this for me, Seth? What are people who, you know? I mean, there are no people in the digital marketing world that have been doing this for 20 years.
Maybe close to 20.
Close to 20. Yeah.
But you're right. That's a great question. I'm trying to find my gallery here because I wanted to show you a picture.
Yeah.
Of.
Well, while he's looking for that, you know, it's it works out for everything, you know, and it can tell you a little bit about a company too. Like, if you think you're going to get some longevity at a company, look at the people that have been working there for a while. Are they happy to be there? Are they,
Depends.
You know, well, they might just be naturally unhappy people, but are they? The people that have even, and in archaeology, when I say been there for a while, I mean the people that have been there like 3 years, because that's a while at a company, right? So if they've been there 3 or 4 years, are they irritable all the time? Are they surly? Are they short with you? Are they, you know, but are they happy? Yeah. Are they all these things? Because that's going to be you in 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, and if they're bad-tempered people, like I've worked for a company where, here in Reno, where everybody was just like nobody was full of joy anymore. Nobody cared anymore. Yeah, and it's like, my God, you know?
Yeah, I worked in a lot of fields before I found digital marketing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just, it's like zombie-like work environments all over the place. You want to hear what I think about the digital marketing approach to this? Well, it's just one of the best fields to work in.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it, I don't know if anybody here is listening is thinking, oh, I don't want to do marketing. That sounds like something that is not interesting to me. My background's in film and writing, and it's a very engaging field. It's very interesting. People from all different backgrounds find it interesting because it's really about just sort of writing and connecting with people.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is it is just one of the best cultures. I got this email here from, you can read it, let's see, got this.
Yeah.
What is your starting salary from this one student? $50,000 with lots of bonuses. And this is cut off from the bottom. He said they have their own cafeteria, game room, and hotel. And that's one of the things about the culture in digital marketing in the in-house jobs. For people who do want an in-house job, I encourage it because I mean, when I've worked at companies in digital marketing, it's like modeled on Google. Like I worked at a place that had a ping pong table, they had a pool table, they had catered lunches.
Yeah.
A lot of these places have bars.
Yeah.
Which I know here he said the archaeologists really appreciate that.
Oh my God, they would never get anything done.
Well, it's really like, it's kind of like Mad Men, because I went to this agency in Nashville and they had actually put in a bar, like an actual, it's swanky, you know? But no, the people in that field it's the opposite of what you're talking about. The people who've been there a while tend to be very high energy, very involved. It's a job where you do, when I was working at an agency or I was working in-house, and I liked this at the time. I liked going to a job every day. It's extremely engaging because you're doing different things every day. You have to experiment. You have to stay on top of things. You're on the internet. You're I don't know. It just tends to attract a very vibrant person, I think. And that's what's really funny to me is I get some of my older subscribers say, "Oh, am I too old for this?" Because a lot of my testimonials are from people in their 20s. I say, "Well, no, you just can't have an old attitude. You can't have like a, I just want a paycheck kind of attitude with it." But as far as like looking to the future, I mean, look, it took me 3 years to get to 6 figures in this field. Wow. 3 years. So
takes at least 4 in archaeology.
Yeah.
4 lifetimes.
Yeah, right. I was actually working at
4 different people added all together.
I was working at a drug rehab center in-house. So there's so as far as digital marketing jobs, you can work at an agency where it's just everyone's a digital marketer and you have like hundreds of clients and accounts. Or you can get hired at a company. So like a lot of companies, they've hired an agency, they don't like the experience of outsourcing. They want someone in the building because they want that personal attention. So I was hired in-house at a drug rehab center, which is very high competition keywords because sorry about that. Like $30 clicks, $50 clicks. There's certain keywords. If you go to Google and you type in like DUI attorney or drug rehab center or car insurance, and you click on one of those ads, you can cost them $70, $80 for that click. It's very competitive. But it was really funny because in the culture of that place, and this was not a marketing agency, but it was just an example, was I actually was still driving my mom's old Honda, 2001 Honda. I had it for 10 years, and I finally started making some money. And I remember my supervisor was saying, he kept saying, "So you, how am I going to keep that car?" Because they all had like Lexuses and BMWs and Audis and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, this is like peer pressure kind of." And I ended up, I did end up getting a Lexus, or leasing a Lexus for 2 years, which was really fun. But yeah, just like as far as, the upward mobility is just, it's unreal. I'm really excited. A lot of my students are like 20 years old and they're getting jobs, and I just can't, I'm like so excited to think like, where are they going to be at 25? Especially compared to most of their peers. And I got a lot of them who didn't go to college, or they dropped out because they helped them get a job. And their peers and their family cannot wrap their head around it. So the good news is most of them, once they've like shown, hey, this is legit, their parents, like, it changes, kind of unbrainwashes them, I think. But yeah, as far as looking into the future, I think that's really important. If you don't want to be the person. I worked in accounting for 1.5 years. And
those people.
That would not have been a pretty future. Actually, my boss said, he said to me, and this is kind of a compliment, he said he thought I'd make a good tax attorney. Which I don't know how to take that, but I said, this is not my path in life. And I was thankfully laid off from there, thank God.
Nice.
At a certain point. Good people. But yeah, that's a good, archaeology.
What's your website so people can check out the course?
indemandcareer.com is the site, and it takes you to a free 4-part kind of mini course where I go into more detail about the job opportunities, what the jobs actually are, and things like that. It's about 40 minutes. I've had a few people just do the free course and get a job.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty. I mean, there's 13 hours of training in the course. Like, I go into real detail, but I had one student this week. She messaged me in the forum. She said, And a lot of students do this. They don't go through the whole course. I say you got to go through each step because I answer every one of your questions.
Wow.
I get a lot of questions, and I always say, "Did you check out section 7?" Like, no, yeah, just do that because I wanted to scale the course. Like the course should actually be like a $5,000 mentorship program.
Yeah.
And I'm getting better results than Udacity or Market Motive or any of these degree programs. But I priced it really low because I wanted to make it more accessible.
Yeah.
And I was concerned. I said, am I gonna, if you price something too low, you might get a lot of jerks.
True.
It's one of those things. But
Price the trolls out.
yeah, but most of the people have been really awesome. And
Well, it takes some self-motivation to go through the course,
Yeah.
I assume.
yes, it does.
Yeah.
So I tell people you got to really work hard and apply it. Most
Yeah.
people come in are very hardworking.
Yeah.
But some of them, they still, the tendency is to kind of skip around. And this one girl, she skipped past a bunch of the stuff I said. She just started applying. She went through my, I can give people, I show them how to do your resume, how to talk with the hiring managers, like everything that's not taught in any other course. And she got 3 interviews in one day. She was kind of like, what do I do? It's like, well, you should finish the course. But she got an interview at this women's health clinic, and it looks like a great opportunity. But I said, next time you should just hold off for a minute and actually, run an AdWords campaign. And it's funny to me because you can do the Udacity. Udacity has this nano degree program that's about $1,000, and they're telling people to do the same thing I teach, except they don't go into as much detail and they don't talk about how to get the job.
Yeah.
Which blows my mind about all these courses. Here you go, kid, you're on your own. And I get a lot of students. I've got people with, marketing degrees, digital marketing degrees too. They don't know how to get a job. So anyway, but anyway, people coming from all different backgrounds, and I'm sure an intelligent archaeologist could do very well.
Maybe.
And it's just maybe if you got to do the work. I think it's I look at life like a video game. It's just another skill.
Yeah.
It's like Double Dragon or River City Ransom. You just need something to get some more coin in your pocket. Grab a client here, grab a client there, drive an Uber. Do what you got to do.
Well, that's a really healthy way of looking at it. That's the thing that frustrates me about some of the people we work with. It's like the reason they're out of work in the winter is because they refuse to do anything else, and yet every other job I've ever had that is in archaeology, I learned something new, something interesting that I can apply back to or forwards or sideways to whatever.
Yeah, and any course that is either free or very affordable, it doesn't hurt you to just gain some more knowledge. Like I was telling Richie before you walked in, Seth. I was saying, he's been thinking about getting a graduate degree and things like that, and I tell people in archaeology, listen, get a graduate degree only if you really know what's entailed in that, what you really know about the debt that you're going to have, and whether or not that's going to actually put you in a place. Like if you want to own an archaeology company someday, or if you want to run a massive division someday, you're going to need a graduate degree in this field. But you got to know what's involved in that. But there's a lot of things you can do that you don't need a graduate degree for, and there's other programs out there where you can probably even get a scholarship or a grant or something. If you don't have to pay for it, get 10 graduate degrees. But if you have to pay for it, know what's involved. Know what you're going to get out of it. So
I think the academia, when I was in middle school, no one ever pushed drugs on me. I was waiting. Or high school, it was peer pressure. Now, I think the real drugs in our culture is become education, because it provides this false sense of security. People say, get a job or go to school, or this idea that going to school is going to provide something, when in fact it's not scrutinized, or they're not held accountable. So just, I'll get a graduate degree for 60, 80 grand. Why? Why are you getting this degree? Like you said, if there's a practical reason for it, then go for it. But a lot of times it's not. I think The Simpsons, should post some clips. The Simpsons has the best riff on graduate students.
Nice.
They're pretty harsh.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you have that attitude of I'm not going to do anything else, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
It's like a bad,
Yeah.
I get 1% of the people that come into my course have an attitude. It's a very small percentage, but it's I get that too. My background's in filmmaking, and it took me, I was really pissed when I realized after I went to film school Oh, guess what? You can't just go out and get a directing job.
No.
I have to work. I was a video editor at Fox News Channel,
Nice.
which was weird, but cool.
Yeah. Wait, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Film school.
I went to NYU,
Ah, cool.
and I wrote a book about why it was a waste of time and money. It's called Film Fooled.
Ooh.
I will promote that. Yeah.
Film Fool.
That's when I
like
first realized that college was like a, I never realized it. I was, a friend of mine dropped out his second year in school from art school,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, you're throwing your life away. And now, you know me, I have a very different perspective.
Yeah.
But art school is just should be criminalized. I think it's just so atrocious the way people's
Yeah.
money is wasted. But I had to adapt and I had to get other work.
Yeah.
It was a little bit soul crushing. By the time I had that accounting job, I really thought I'd never make a movie.
Yeah.
And thank God life, sent me my buddy and my business partner Adam, who like really
Yeah.
inspired me, and we shot that movie this year. But I think you have to be realistic. Like if your passion is archaeology,
Yeah.
look at it like you need to support that passion with
Yeah.
something practical, but don't get infantile and like, no, I'm not going to do anything else, and I'm
Yeah.
going to live in poverty.
Well,
right.
it makes me think, like, when I first moved to LA, I was, like, roommates with a whole bunch of people who went to LA film school.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
they're in my blog.
And, like 75% of the students were, like, like one of our roommates, like, his mom gave him a credit card, and he bought, at the time was, like, the Canon 5D, the first one that did the film, that did the, movie making, and then he had to have the little shoulder mount and everything. And he is no longer doing filmmaking, whereas, one of my other roommates, he had a job. He was, like, working Pizza Hut and, like, going to school. And now he's, like, he's actually in filmmaking,
Good for him.
Yeah, and he's doing what he really wanted.
So he had
But,
the
you had to
hustle.
you had to have the work ethic first. You can't just be like, well, I'm going to go to LA Film and then, like, have all these toys. Ugh.
Yeah, well, in the last 10 minutes here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've already gone 50 minutes. Let's talk about some of January's comments here, since she's commenting hard, and I don't want to. I don't want to lose any of it. And Ryan joined too. Ryan Kirshner, he's been on before. So if you guys are still here, thank you. But so January's first thing was, let's talk about archaeologists not making any money, even though we have graduate degrees. I think we've kind of addressed that.
Yeah.
It's just a different field. You have to.
Look at it differently.
You have to look at it differently, and here's the thing. You don't think of it as archaeologists not making money even though we have graduate degrees. A graduate degree is not a ticket to more money
No.
in archaeology.
No.
A graduate degree might be a ticket to more money in some other fields, but in archaeology, it's more than likely not. It is for a very small percentage of people, but for most people, it's really just a ticket to more debt.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn things. Sure, it's going to be fun. If you're very intellectual and theoretical, you'll learn stuff in grad school, but watch a goddamn YouTube video and you'll learn the same thing,
True.
right? Have a discussion with your friends about stuff and you'll probably learn the same thing. And I'm speaking this as somebody who is currently paying off a graduate degree.
You are?
So, oh yeah, and I will be for a long time. So,
But I mean, you have to look at it in the right frame because, when I was in the Ruby, when we were camping out, the president of the company was there. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
who he is, but he's a super badass dude.
Yeah.
And, he loved being out there. He loved camping and, he was like a bazillion years old and yet he could out-hike all of us.
yeah, those guys
And,
are out there.
God, what else was I thinking? And, obviously we all had trucks and, he was the president, so he had to go, like, check on all the crews. But instead of driving around, he was so hardcore, he would, hike it.
Nice.
Like, and
Yeah.
you meet people like that every once in a while.
Well, and those people, just like other people who are successful with graduate degrees, are a rare breed.
Yeah.
I worked for a guy like that too, who was just, he was older, but he was,
Yeah.
just a crazy person in that. And January is also saying here, the whole issue of obtaining a PhD, why should we do it? Realistically, the only reason you should obtain a PhD in CRM Archaeology specifically is degree inflation. The master's degree is now the bachelor's degree. That's really the only reason. When all field techs have a master's degree, then you'll need a PhD to do this job.
Yeah.
And you'll have to do $100,000 in debt to make 4 cents extra per hour. And that's how it works in this field. Now, if your passion is to teach at a university and just
Yeah.
perpetuate this cycle of debt than get a PhD. I'm saying this knowing that our good friend Bill White, who's a podcast host, just got his PhD, is now teaching at Berkeley, teaching the eager young minds in archaeology. But I'm hoping to take Bill and his PhD, and my other friend who's down in Arizona getting her PhD right now. I would love to put them to work on, some special projects related to archaeology that the PhD in this world still gives you a lot of clout when it comes to getting funding and things like that, grants and stuff like that. So it will be helpful to have them on staff, and they're smart and intelligent people, to teach people in this format with web series and doing things like that rather than in a university setting. Have somebody pay, like for Seth's course, have them put together courses where they can come to our service, and instead of going to get a graduate degree for $35,000, they can come and, for $1,000 or less, take all the courses and then, be smarter for it.
Aren't you putting a course together, Chris?
I'm putting lots of courses together. Yeah, I am actually. There's lots of stuff I'm doing. I'm focusing on podcasting right now because I've got this workshop and it's got baked in, like I'm going to have that out as a thing. But courses like what Seth was talking about on getting into, one of the courses is basically getting into as a career in archaeology, and part of that is doing your resume and CV, knowing how to find jobs, but also a very heavy, strong component in telling people, telling people exactly what's involved in this.
Yeah.
And that you're not gonna, it's not a golden ticket. It's not, you have to be passionate about this job to want to stick it out because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
So January, I would say we shouldn't do it. There's almost no reason for you to get a PhD.
True. I just left my job, which I loved very much, at the bookstore because my rent went up. It's like a long story, but Reno's kind of like getting, super bougie.
Right.
But we had one PhD and we just hired another master's degree student there.
Yeah.
Ironically, he got his
bookstore?
At the bookstore.
There's like 3 or 4 people there with master's degrees.
Yeah.
And it's because some of them are just like, they didn't realize what they'd be getting themselves into in the field that they chose. And so they just don't want to go through the various hoops.
Well, and a lot of people, especially if they've got family or something paying for their college, sometimes they just don't want to go into the workforce. So they're like, let's go into the next level here.
Yeah.
Now, truth be told, for PhDs, a lot of PhD programs, you actually don't pay for the class.
Yeah.
You don't pay for the degree.
Yeah.
If you've got a master's degree, or maybe it's a joint PhD master's, if you're doing that and you're funded and you're teaching classes and things like that, it's going to be a chunk of time out of your life.
Yeah.
But it might not actually cost you anything. If that's the case, then all right, sure, do it. You'll spend some of your time doing it.
Yeah.
Great, maybe that's okay with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's all about the money. If you're doing this to make more money and you're spending this amount of money, your ROI, return on investment, is not going to be high enough.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah.
That's the reason why I didn't go the full way through my I was originally taking a GIS course, but I couldn't get any student loans for it.
Yeah.
So, and that was not going to work out. I was like looking at it like hardcore, and it's like, no, that's not happening.
Well, when it wasn't a golden ticket for you either.
No, because because the Esri certification is cheaper, and you probably learn the same things.
Dude, you could learn just as much watching YouTube videos about GIS.
Yeah.
And learning different things, and then bill yourself as a GIS specialist. You don't need any certificate.
I think I'm sorry. And as I listen to terms I don't understand, I'm just thinking. I know at some point with your courses, and I've been encouraging Chris to get these courses together because the first step, like when I wrote my book on film called Film Fooled, I was just explaining to people what a colossal waste of time and money this program was, and then I built a course called Film School Secrets, explaining, well, what do you do instead? And I'm sure there are people who want to know, because you're a success. I would say you're a successful archaeologist as far as that goes. You have your own company, you have projects, you do these things. And I think it'd probably be helpful for people to have some guidance from someone like you versus a professor who's just going to give you theory to show you, what do I actually do? Okay, I get it. I'm in the field. I love it. I'm not making any money. What do I do?
Yeah.
Right? That's what you're going to be talking about, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, that's the thing too, is and you exactly nailed it. it's weird hearing somebody say, like, I'm a successful archaeologist. Because success is measured in different ways. In certain fields, success is measured by, you know, what your bank account looked like. In archaeology, I feel like success is measured by, are you still doing it? You know? And, well, the thing is, too, is not just are you still doing it, because, it's down to personal preference. To me, success is I'm still doing archaeology, I'm still in the archaeology field, and, you know, I'm not making $1 million a year, I'm not making six figures either, and it's like, but I'm moving sometimes laterally, sometimes up, but I'm moving, and to me that's success. You know, to me, it's keeping it fresh, doing different things. This whole podcasting thing is, you know, how many people in archaeology are trying to make it their business to podcast and then teach other people, not in a university setting.
Hardly.
Not very many. No. Yeah, not very many. And sometimes you got to make your own. Sometimes in this job, especially, you have to make your own work.
Your
you have
own
to make
luck, as Billy Zane said in the movie Titanic. He said, "I make my own luck."
That's right.
I would tell you, Chris, you're the most successful archaeologist that I know.
That's a high praise.
You're also the only archaeologist that I know.
Well, now you know two.
Nice.
That's right.
That's one too. Yeah.
I know twice as many archaeologists now as when I first met you.
Actually, I think you met us both at the same time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right.
Actually. Anyway, so another thing January said, I don't know if she's still with us, but she says, I think that hiss that's in our audio is probably, we got to figure that out. It's not going into this thing, but it's definitely coming out over Facebook. It's coming from the mixer, and I'm not sure why. Anyway, sorry about that if you're still listening, but she says, and how people that only have MAs can be referenced as specialists in the field. What she's saying is, to be referenced as a specialist, you need an MA, or an MS in my case. She says she's one of them. She's a ceramic specialist in the Catawba Valley, and Catawba Valley is, I want to say South Carolina or North Carolina. It's in that area, I think.
Oh.
I could be wrong. It could be Georgia. I don't know. Correct me, January, if you're still on. And she says a lot of people know that. And she said she doesn't have her PhD. Archaeology is her life and passion. And that's the key right there.
Yeah.
It really needs to be your life and passion. And if it is, I think you'll find a way to make it work. I don't think you have to starve to make it work.
No.
I think that you have to realize, what do I actually want to do? If January is a ceramic specialist and she wants to study ceramics, publish about ceramics, learn about ceramics, and do things, my advice to somebody that says, I am a ceramic specialist and I want to be known as that and I want to get more work as doing that, then January, you need to have your own web courses out on analyzing ceramics. You need to have your own book out on how to be a ceramic specialist. You need to have all these things out in the world, not just your work, not just sitting in a lab behind you know, a washing table and something like that and analyzing ceramics, which is really great. She says North Carolina. I knew it was around there somewhere.
Man, wait, is that where Fayetteville is?
What, Fayetteville, they call it?
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's in North Carolina. Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, Fayetteville's a horrific place. Anyway, sorry, Fayettevilleans. Fayettevilleans? Yeah, it's a military town. It's like a marine town. Yeah, so it's pretty rough. But anyway, I would say to be a specialist in anything does not require the degree. Sometimes some douchebags, some older guard people will say, "Oh, you're a specialist. What's your degree in?" But most people these days, they just want your knowledge.
Yeah.
They just want to know that you are the expert. And in this day and age, to establish yourself as the expert, you need to be out there. You should have your own website, whether or not you have a company that says, you know, January Costa or January Withers Costa. Sometimes people middle name themselves on Facebook, so I don't know what you go by. But January, the ceramic specialist, and here is videos of you talking about ceramics. Here's blog posts you've written about ceramics. Here's all that stuff. So when somebody types in Catawba ceramics or North Carolina ceramics, SEO points to you, the first Google searches.
Comes back to marketing.
Yeah.
And this is something I tell people that's, like, I'm about to do a video called How to Make Money from Your Passion.
Yeah.
Marketing. Everything is marketing. And that means that even if you wanted to be a phlebotomist or you want to be, you know, work any kind of job you can think of, you can learn all the skills. Getting hired is a matter of marketing yourself.
Yeah.
It's presenting yourself. A job interview is marketing yourself.
Yeah.
And then getting work, whether it's being, you know, writing a grant or however people get work in archaeology.
Yeah.
It's all how you position yourself. So marketing is really, and then I even, people say, they want to make money from their passion. Say your passion is music. The music industry is all about marketing. The movie industry is all about marketing. Everything is about promoting yourself. So, Chris, you've created yourself as an authority on the web, as not only from your business but from your presence. People see you as someone who's an expert in archaeology. So that's absolutely great advice to give to January. Is that if you have a specialization within this field, you need to make it visible, and a good website and having contributing an article or a blog post to a relevant magazine or publication in the field is worth a lot more than a degree. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, whatever field you're in, unless you're talking about, I think medicine, like there's no self-made brain surgeons. I hope. But that's it. Yeah. It's about, can you do the job? Yeah. And people's trust in you. Yeah. What does the degree mean? It's just sort of a notch in someone's assessment of you. Oh, well, they know what they're talking about. But nowadays, they call it authority or perception. Is based on, a lot of it's based on how people perceive you online. Yeah. And that's really good advice, and not taught in these programs, I'm sure.
But I mean, speaking of marketing, think of a certain Dave we know.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets jobs just because he's Dave.
He's got different marketing. He's got longevity marketing.
And his own Facebook page.
Yeah. Well, January's saying she would love to do that. I would know which piece of advice we've given her that she would love to do. However, she says we have no money. If it's the marketing, when Seth says marketing, a lot of people think, and in fact, I talk to people about this all the time with like advertising for the APN and things like that. Marketing doesn't necessarily mean spending money. No. We've actually used a different term for this. We've talked about it extensively on the CRM Archaeology podcast. Bill White's talked about it in his blog post. It's managing your personal brand. Yeah. And being, when somebody thinks Chris Webster, 5 years ago, they probably thought, man, what a douchebag. But now they probably think podcasts. Yeah. And they probably think, well...
I thought you said Chris Brown for some reason.
Oh, no, definitely. Yeah, right. So, when somebody says, I wouldn't have actually said ceramic specialist when January came on. I've seen her on Facebook a lot. I've seen her, I think we're friends on Facebook. I see her in the groups posting a lot. But I didn't actually know that she was a ceramic specialist until she just told us that. So I think putting yourself out there and constantly pushing that kind of stuff and doing that doesn't have to cost any money. No. Facebook is free. Facebook pages are free. Facebook Live is free. You have a smartphone more than likely. Well, you're an archaeologist, so it's about a 50-50 bet that you've got a smartphone. But if you have a smartphone, you have a world-class camera on the back of that phone. Even if you're rocking an iPhone 5, you've still got like a 10-megapixel camera on the back of that thing. Have somebody, a partner or a friend or somebody, use the back camera, not the front camera, because it's a lower quality. Film you just doing short videos about ceramics. Yeah. Short videos, short educational. Hell, January, we need videos on ceramics for the APN for our learning content. I'll have you do videos for us, and then we'll put those up for our professional subscribers, and that will help establish you as an expert in that field.
Or think about LinkedIn. Like, I just was randomly updating my LinkedIn profile, and I got contacted for an archaeology job. I mean, it was kind of not something I wanted to do, because, it was like a lot of travel and like 3 days or something, but it's like,
posting on social media is totally free. There isn't a single social media site that you have to pay for to post content. There are plenty of free websites you can get to create a blog. And on most of those, you can also create, on some of those, you can actually post the videos within there, but that requires server space, and it's not free. But you can create videos, post them to YouTube, and embed them in your blog on 99% of cases. If the free blog can't do that, it's worthless. But you can get a free WordPress blog. You don't have to get a paid one. And if you're not posting media content there, you're linking to it from other free media hosts like YouTube or something like that, then you're done. You've got the knowledge up in your head. You've already paid for that. Just look for free ways to get you out there.
Oh, and about YouTube, by the way, one of my favorite YouTubers, his main camera is his iPhone. So you don't need like a camera. Like, my phone right now records better or the same quality video as the camera I'm actually using to record this.
Right. And another thing about YouTube, immediately monetize. And something I learned from one of Seth's friends who interviewed me, Matt Tran, who's got a great YouTube channel, Engineered Truth and some other things.
Yeah.
He's got a video that he starts with right there that he updates regularly. That's it's actually a document or something that says how he makes money on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I actually went through that and I was like, this is fascinating. Like he's got all his numbers out right there for you to see on how he makes money and where the little things are that he's making money every month. And one of the things I learned just from looking at that was, and he's the only person I've heard this from, so I have no other source other than this, but the tags that you put and how you categorize your videos changes how much money you get from monetization. And he said tagging it as education versus, say, internet video or some other weird thing.
Yeah.
Tagging it as education actually gets you a little more money on the monetization.
Although I have to admit, in YouTube, it's kind of like a moving target. Like they're actually changing a lot of the monetization rules.
Well, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
But either way, if you put videos up on YouTube, regardless of whether you've got 0 subscribers or 100 hits after the first month or something like that, monetize the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Because you look at in archaeology, you hear this in other fields, but in archaeology it's really important. Think of your finances as like a stool with many little legs underneath it. Some of those legs are big and fat, and some of those legs are really tiny, but all those legs add up to an income and a career.
Yeah.
It's no longer do we live in the days where somebody has one job from the time they're 24 to the time they're 65.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist. I mean, we're going to move around, we're going to do things, our interests are going to change, and we have the ability to do that.
I mean, Mr. Archeo Soup, doesn't he make most of his money from his Archeo Soup stuff?
I don't know what he does. I don't know if it's all YouTube revenue or not, but he's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos.
Yeah, and most of them have like 100 views.
Yeah, they don't have a lot, but it's aggregate. I mean, they make. You don't have to have 100,000 views or 50,000 subscribers on YouTube to make money.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really is about volume, especially with YouTube. YouTube, people say quality, not quantity, but with YouTube, it can just be quantity.
True.
That's
true.
So she said she will add this to their site. Thanks so much for talking about her tonight. Well, thanks for coming in and listening. I think we got to go.
And by the way, congratulations for being the the viewer on the first show where we dropped exactly 0 frames the whole time.
That's because nobody's here. We did it on a Saturday, which probably just before. Yeah. So anyway, thanks a lot to Seth for coming in as well. I just actually texted him when we got here and said, "Hey, I'm at the collective," and he's like, "Oh, my word." I was like, "Yeah, come on in." He had no idea what he was getting into. So
No.
Thanks. Just say goodbye or whatever you want to say.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. It's been real. But,
And your website again?
indemandcareer.com. And I actually teach people, like, a lot of what I teach is much more expensive elsewhere, but I teach paid advertising and SEO, which is how to rank on Google. And all the principles inside of there are the things that you can use to promote your own brand. You can learn a lot for free on Google, but there's stuff in the course that you can't. And then there's also other courses that are going to cost a lot more than mine. I look at it as a very, very wise investment because everything Chris is saying, it's almost like, I mean, it's kind of like a 180 because you're like, I just put all this energy into becoming an archaeologist, and now I have to become a marketer. That's what every professional in every field deals with. Even if you become a lawyer, people have this idea, I'm a lawyer, I'm going to be.
It's
they have to market themselves.
It's interesting. I was up at Coffee Bar, and like some lady was talking about her new job. She apparently does advertising for lawyers because apparently that's like illegal for lawyers to do direct marketing.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
So they do contracting or something, and that's what she was doing.
I don't know, the lawyer, the personal injury lawyer that's up on the highway with his fists out, he's doing some direct marketing.
I love it in Reno. He's saying, you got that guy. We've got a guy with he's got his fists out, and it says search with the Google colors.
Yeah.
So he's not using the Google name. Yeah. And then the personal injury firm here, the big one, there's like one in every city, is called Go Lightly Vanna.
Yeah. Oh,
which I think is like this.
Yeah.
It's
a very gentle sounding personal injury attorney.
No, I've seen them. Their last names are Go Lightly and Vanna.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really like Holly Go Lightly was the Holly Go Lightly was the name of the character in
Breakfast at Tiffany's. And then I just think of Vanna White. So.
Yeah, Vanna White. Nice. Chuck just realized there's a button to notify him the next time we're on. Also, Yeah, I know, super staticky. Sorry, Chuck.
Oh.
I know we're gonna fix that. I'm not sure what's causing that this time. It's a weird thing.
I mean, there's a lot of wires everywhere.
I know, and the speaker cords are going right over the power cord too. That's probably not a good thing.
Oh,
the
I didn't even
mic
think
cords.
about that.
Yeah, that might be causing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're learning, but thanks for showing up. Thanks, January, for all the great questions. And
Oh, and if you want to watch a non-staticky version, watch the YouTube channel.
yeah, go review this on the YouTube channel. Yeah. And YouTube is, again,
Happy Archaeology Fun Time.
that's right. 'cause I
And
think I
it's
stepped in.
crazy. I've been getting a steady stream of like new subscribers.
That's right.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And if you want to see the APN at more conferences, then go buy coffee mugs and stickers. arcpodnet.com/shop.
Or tell Chris to start making hats.
Yeah, I'll make hats if people want to buy them, but I don't know if anybody wants to buy them yet. So
Wow.
this hat cost me $50 just because I did the artwork done first. But once you get them done, the hats come down to my cost of about $10 a piece.
Really?
Sell them for about 20 because we have to have 5 for shipping, and then we make $5. So
That would probably be the most practical thing you could sell.
I know, but people—that's what I thought. But people still don't buy shit. So anyway, that's it for now. Thanks everybody, and
Yeah.
we'll see you next week for sure. I think on a Saturday probably,
Yeah.
but we'll find out. So, all right.
You know what's crazy? This thing keeps saying it's just one viewer.
It was
How
up
many
to
viewers
6
do
or
you
7 for a little while. It
Alright.
rotates.
Hold on.
Are you
We're
off?
not done yet.
Is it off?
Hold on. There we go.
Okay.